Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Warden. Thank you for spending some of your time with us tonight. As a reminder to all our listeners, besides being on all your favorite podcast platforms, A Drink of Wisdom is also on YouTube with each segment available. Head on over, and if you like what you hear, well, we'd appreciate your subscription. What's going on, guys?
Man, you know what it is. It's the beer, it's the drink, it's the wisdom. Let's go.
Let's talk some sports, baby. Hey, I want to all the listeners and the watchers. Hey, I want to say happy Juneteenth for everybody that don't know. 1868 was the official day that slavery was ended and black folk became free folk. And also, I want to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Let's roll, baby.
All right, man, let's do it. In episode 77, Major League Baseball is trending up. Jamal Adams is trending down. We break down our top 10 coach-quarterback combinations in the NFL. But first, let's check in on the NBA resumption plan. 2 weeks ago, the NBA ratified a plan among the owners and players to resume the season in Orlando next month on July 30th. The plan involves bringing 22 teams to Disney World and keeping them contained in a bubble, quote-unquote, with daily testing and strict medical supervision. This week, the NBA released a 113-page manual to further clarify the details of their plan. The plan was praised at first, but amid surging coronavirus cases and social unrest, many players have raised their own concerns about playing. Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard have been among the most vocal against playing, while players like Austin Rivers and Sterling Brown say more good than harm would come from playing amid players earning salaries to help the cause. So, Drink, after this week, do you think the NBA is more or less likely to play? And are the new plan details enough to smooth things over with the players?
Well, I would say this. The media will make you think that they're less likely to play, but the more I actually listen and pay attention, they're going to play. I don't think, with all this news going on, they're going to play. The biggest concern is not really, to me, it's not the coronavirus. If you actually listen to where the divide is amongst the players, it's not the coronavirus. This has got more to do with the social injustice of African Americans than it does with the coronavirus. You listen to a lot of these players, they're not worried about really getting sick. Is it a something to be concerned about? Yes, it is. But that's not the main concern for this particular situation. And, for all the watchers and listeners that's saying, hey, maybe it is a concern because Kyrie, got this conglomerate of 85 to 90 players speaking out. I would say this to you. If it was such a problem, you would be able to name me at least 5 of the superstars that's up there supporting Kyrie, but you can't. So I don't want to hear how much of a problem it is when I got LeBron James, when I got Giannis, when I got Kawhi Leonard, when I got James Harden, the rest of these superstars saying they want to play. The platform, I want to hit on the platform right quick. Here's the deal. When you say if they play, they will have a bigger platform. Yeah, I can agree with you. But I also can agree with Kyrie as well when he say, hey, we done been on these platforms. We done made our stance very known how we feel with Black Lives Matter. I can't breathe. All these things going. We seen what LeBron and Carmelo and Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade did at the ESPYs a couple of years ago with their Black Lives Matter stance. We see, every time LeBron James get a mic in he's always asked about injustice and things outside of the NBA. And he always try to give us the most candid answer that he can give us without going too overboard. So these conversations has always been going. No. With all that said, Kyrie did make a very interesting point. I want to point out that he said, listen, sometimes when you want to get a point across, you have to play with drastic measures. You have to take a drastic measure, And I see what Kyrie is saying. He's saying that we shouldn't play. But the one thing he did bring up in this situation that I thought was downright ludicrous was the fact that he want to start his own basketball league. Well, let me tell you something, buddy. Let me tell you something. NBA been around for quite a while, And unless you're going to tell me you want to go from making $30 million to $200,000 just to invest all your money into this new basketball league, knock it off. Just knock it off, buddy, because that ain't it. But, maybe he might be serious. I would just like to see what is this going to be, the Big Three League Part 2? Like I like to see where we're going with this. I don't think these guys want to soak all their salary into making a new league. I did hear, however, when Kyrie did bring up this idea in the group chat, once he heard what the NBA was doing as far as safety measures and progression and trying to get everybody in the fold, he did get off the line, and that was the end of that. Don't know how true it is, don't know how false it is. That's just what's been floating around on the bigger media market. So I do want to say I sympathize with what Kyrie is saying. I don't undermine what he's saying, but we see who got the influence. We see who's going to make the moves. And you know, as far as your question go, I do see NBA season happening. Now, I see the little cute adjustments that the NBA has made with the breaking down the 3 hotel resorts. I see and I'll let Jay get into the noodles and caboodles of, you know, the coaching staff, this, that, and the third. But I just wanted to make sure that I made my piece very loud and clear about the Kyrie LeBron thing, because that is kind of what got me drawn into this whole situation. Because I think at the end of the day, once July 30th come, basketball will get played one way or another. So I like that divide. This have created quite some controversy, you know, amongst everybody. You got Kendrick Perkins out here. Little sidebar here. Did y'all know Kendrick Perkins is only 35? Did y'all know that?
You know,
right. You about to say exactly what I mean. Yo,
I feel like you should still be playing, right?
Yo, this dude is only like a month older than LeBron James, and he looked like he was. Yo, my man looked like he was balling with Bill Russell, and he's only a month older than LeBron James. Yo,
he looks like a civil rights attorney from the '60s.
I'm trying to tell you, Johnny Cochran up. But like, here's the thing, like. I was fat when I heard that today. When I heard that, I was like, "What? No way! That dude got to be at least 55." So, with that said, you know, I had thrown a little sidebar in there. But here's the deal: we're gonna get an NBA season. I think we should get an NBA season. I think you can accomplish 2 goals at the same time and go about them different. You can still protest. You can still do social injustice. And here's the deal: the NBA is not gonna force anybody to play. They done made that clear. Adam Silver has made that clear. I'm not going to force you to play. If you don't want to play, you don't have to. But if you don't play one game, you're not going to play none of them. Once you get substituted, that is it for you. You're done for the season. And you do not get paid. And this is some of the things that I think Kyrie and Avery Bradley and Dwight Howard, these are the things they have to realize. It's a lot of players that's speaking out against this that don't make the money that they make, especially Kyrie, for example. Yep. They don't make the money you make. So they can't afford to not play, to be perfectly honest with you. Some of these guys are 2-way players. Some of these guys are undrafted, you know, rookies. And like, what do you want them to do? They don't make your money. So they're not going to see it the way you see it. At the end of the day, we all have an ideal that drives us. Kyrie is not wrong with his idea, but Kyrie does have to see the whole picture. LeBron has to see the whole picture. We all have to see the whole picture. Adam Silver is doing the best he can. This is, I can also say this is a drawback when you run a league that's a player-driven league. You run into this problem because you bet your bottom dollar Roger Goodell is over there like, yo, y'all come with that smoke if you want to. Y'all keep talking about this anthem crap. Hey, we going to fix that too. You see, right? They already think about. Okay, I don't want to turn this into NFL, so, but to answer your question, the NBA will move forward. No doubt about it. We're gonna get us some basketball. You know what I'm saying? Holla at your boy, and let's see where this takes us. Over to you, Jay.
A couple things before I really get into it. Number one, I think that's the first Kendrick Perkins reference we've had in the history of this show, and I hope to God it's the last one, because he doesn't deserve to be on such a great program. The only reason he gets as much camera time as he does is because of his connections to LeBron James and Kevin Durant. I think we can all be realistic in approaching that. And then secondly, in the issue of Kyrie Irving, I'm just interested, and I would pose a question that you don't have to answer. But Kyrie, would you be at the forefront of this faction of players that don't want to play if you were healthy?
No, I do want to answer this.
Okay, go ahead.
You said I don't have to answer.
Go ahead.
I want to answer this. I would say yes. If you actually look at Kyrie has always been a I'm against the establishment kind of guy. He always been a pushback type of guy. So in that fact, when you ask that, I do think if he was healthy, he still would be doing the same thing. To
Okay,
answer that.
that's fine. I just want to and one more thing about Kyrie and the the ridiculous notion of starting your own basketball league. Let's think about this. Remember the XFL? I was a skeptic at first, and obviously, I think the XFL, the way they had it going this time, it looked like a smooth operation. Some of the new rules they were implementing, the in-game interviews, there was a lot to like about what they were doing. And we saw just how quickly a new league can fold up like a cheap tent. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I probably don't want to go that route, Kyrie, especially considering the fact that Kyrie, in the case of Kyrie Irving, I think it's very clear that we can say you are a Robin, you are not a Batman. So I don't know how much flexing you need to be doing when you were LeBron's sidekick for all those years. You go to Boston and you couldn't get it done, and next thing you know, you're teaming up with the second best player in the world. So let's just pump the brakes. And oh, by the way, and as another sidebar, uh, not that it should be a surprise that he's coming up with these nonsense ideas. This is a guy who apparently believes the earth is flat. So, but moving on, listen, one way or the other, we're playing basketball. I mean, there's just no way around it. I've been fairly optimistic throughout this entire process ever since that, fateful evening with Rudy Gobert tested positive. So we're going to get this done. And I think it's an extremely valid point when you talk about the cream of the crop in terms of the NBA. If Kyrie is at the forefront of this movement and he's not even available to play, and then you talk about secondary guys who are at the forefront of this, you talk about Avery Bradley and Dwight Howard, those are not really all that big names to where Adam Silver's like, okay, let's take a look. Oh yeah, we're good. I don't see Kawhi. I don't see LeBron. I don't see Giannis. I don't even see Jimmy Butler's name on it. So let's get to moving. And of course, and I think we've touched on this. The health concerns that players have, if they do have them, they're absolutely valid. No one's gonna sneeze at that. But again, I would say, as I said last week, the NBA's primary objective through getting this thing going and putting these plans in place is the player's health has been at the forefront of the discussion, and that's been the whole objective, is to play this season out without compromising players' health. So if that's not good enough for the players, of course they got every right to sit down and not play, but you won't get paid. That's just kind of what we look to. I do think it's interesting, and I just looked at these hotel destinations. What you can definitely tell, it appears the Grand Destino is the place to be, and it looks like the yacht club. I guess if you're going to the yacht club is the place where they should be going ahead and booking reservations for the regular folks that gonna come through, because they ain't gonna be there that long. So we can go ahead and get that out the way. Of course, if you're at the Floridian, I don't know. We'll see how that progresses. Listen, the 76ers and Rockets, they may make some sort of run. We don't know. I think when you look at their talent versus the way they actually play and perform, we don't know what we're going to get from them.
But now let me caveat. Let me throw a little sauce in there. You know what I'm saying? A little drippy drip. Here's the deal. The biggest thing that we knock against 76ers is that chemistry, right, on the road. Now, can we say they might have got a long enough break where they didn't kind of figure some things out, and then they get back on the court and they both healthy, and Joel Embiid can finally finish a game without a chicken sandwich and all this good stuff? Can we say they had enough time off to figure that out? Or
I'm not. Yeah, you're not going to sell me. If the bubble was in Philadelphia, maybe you could sell me on that argument. But they're not at home, which is where they play well. And this is, okay. I think they thrive in that home environment. I'm not sold on that argument. But again, back to Avery Bradley and Dwight Howard, and to just talk pure basketball for a brief second. If Avery Bradley and Dwight Howard indeed go forward and they do not play, that is a huge blow, particularly in the case of Avery Bradley. That is a significant blow to the chances of the Los Angeles Lakers winning this chip whenever
they're going to play.
Begins.
Dwight Howard going to play. Avery Bradley got a championship. He might be able to say
okay. And to me,
Dwight Howard going to play.
Even if it's just Avery Bradley, I think it's significant because he's their best perimeter defender. And when we talked about, oftentimes we've talked about a third scorer for the Lakers because we know what we're going to get from LeBron. We know Anthony Davis is going to be there, and he's going to be the key to what happens to them. But Avery Bradley, if you remove him out of the equation, their perimeter depth is in serious question, and that will be a huge factor. It's going to be tough to get out the West if you don't have Avery Bradley.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole week, I think the NBA has really put a big effort into kind of smoothing the situation over because, like you said, we talked about 2 weeks ago, it seemed like this is all sunshine rainbows. We got a plan. We're done. We're rolling. We're going to Orlando. Pack your crap. Let's go. And then last week it was like, whoa, wait a minute. This all sounds, really off. And now we're kind of in this middle ground. And I think that manual they released, like 113 pages, clarified a lot of the problems they had because a lot of the plan really was the NBA said, all right, we're going to do X, Y, and Z without details. Just we got it. Don't worry about it. And somehow they were able to just make that enough to overwhelmingly finalize the plan. But one thing that does worry me a little bit, Drink, you said that it wasn't anything to do with the coronavirus, and it probably are not nearly as much as it was the social justice or, the unrest angle. But the cases really are, especially in Florida, going back up quite a bit. The data obviously can be manipulated any way we want, but I want to throw a quick update on it. Since we last talked, so since last week, Florida's added 15,000 new cases and about 900 hospitalizations. Now, the positivity rate, which is your relationship between how many people get tested versus how many people were positive, hasn't risen as much as the total cases, which tells us that, it's more testing, not always that more people are truly getting it than they were. But the positivity rate's of about 12%. It's about what we were seeing in mid-April when this was still pretty high up on the scale there. Orange County, where this is all being held in Orlando, there's 3,900 cases and the positivity rate's about the same. So, a lot of people were talking about the numbers. That's kind of the numbers behind the coronavirus issue there. What really worries me is we're seeing in other sports already, teams are already having to shut stuff down. They make cancellations. University of Texas had to cancel their offseason stuff. The Tampa Bay Lightning, they had to reclose their facilities. And Clemson, like we just said on social media, they reported 28 players and staff members total had to close. And I think the NBA can handle a few people getting the virus, assuming that, a few people get it here and there. I mean, their testing protocols sound really good. They're going to test people multiple times. I mean, it's going to be a solid testing regimen, but unless something sneaks in there, the ones and twos you can handle. But what if we get one of these outbreaks? What if all of a sudden, say the Clippers, 5 players get it? One of them's Kawhi or Paul George. If you take one team out of this completely, then doesn't this all get a huge asterisk as far as, the validity of it all? Outside of the whole team being really mad that a bunch of their players got sick and they can't play, does that put a damper on this? I mean, it's just the operation for as smart and as well thought out as it is, it does have that risky feel to it. That if this were to go south, like it wouldn't take a lot. And like we're already seeing it happening in a few isolated cases. Now, Clemson and Lightning, they're not taking the precautions the NBA is going to take. So we hope that'll be the mitigating factor. But, the other issues of the players, I get the unrest angle. I definitely understand, the thought of, hey, why are we going to go quarantine in Orlando for 3 months right in the middle of all this? But I mean, the way I look at it is, people who can't do a lot else, do the marching and whatnot, because that's, as an average Joe, that's what you can do. That's what you can do to do your part. You can donate a little bit of money, but if you're the average guy, that's what you do to go get change done. These guys with the money they have, especially these Kyrie Irvings and Dwight Howards and whatnot, they have the money to make some real progress, the change. And if you're not playing, you're denying yourself that money to be able to do so. So again, I'm not sure what really, other than the optics of it, what really changes if these guys stay home instead of go play? I mean, I don't buy the whole, you're taking attention away. Well, I mean, really, is attention, again, is not a finite thing that you take from one thing and put on the other. I mean, you should be able, the NBA coming back isn't going to kill any social justice movement that's going on. I mean, you can have both things simultaneously. And I would think if all the players and coaches and league are together, maybe you can come together and come up with some real good ideas as a whole. Because they're all going to be under the same roofs. 20 GMs going to be under the same roofs. 22 teams going to be under the same roofs. I mean, there's a lot that can come from that.
To that, go ahead, Drink.
Okay. I was going to say, first of all, you're absolutely right. I should have been a little more clear. What I meant to say was I thought the social injustice was a little bit bigger deal than the COVID-19. That's what I should have said. I'm sorry about that. But I would say this to it. Play devil advocate. All right. If all the black players stayed at home, how interested are you seeing a all-white NBA?
So give me back Brian Scalabrine. I'm very interested. Otherwise,
the Mavericks win.
Oh, God.
Luka and Porzingis.
So with all the craziness that Kyrie pulled, he actually got a little bit of a point to say when you're dealing with the one percenters, those top rich guys. The only thing that really gets their attention is when they losing money at a rapid rate. So even if you brought the NBA back, but you didn't bring back the black guys, guess what TV partner's gonna say? Hey man, you ain't getting top dollar for this product. Get out of here. People ain't trying to see this. So
if enough players sit out, then this isn't happening. I mean, we understand that ones and twos, again, they can say, hey, I don't want to play, high risk, whatever. But the ramifications we talked about some last week, if the players don't show up and this doesn't go off, the CBA could get ripped up, and there could be long-term impacts because the owners would lose a lot more money, but the players are going to too, not just this year, but years to come. So that would be kind of a dangerous game to play, in my opinion, between the owners and the players. But you're right. I mean, sometimes the only way to get these guys' attention is to do something like that, hit their pocketbooks, and then suddenly their ears perk up and they say, oh, well, what are you talking about? So I'm a little concerned about the risks of it all. I feel like this is a high risk situation, but as long as these numbers continue to not, only moderately increase, or we can kind of, they continue to tell us, oh, this is exactly how we're testing, exactly what we're going to do, and they can get these guys in and out on time. I think this is going to work, but I would say that this week it was a little concerning, if nothing else, for the future of it all.
And I would say just about the social injustice, because I didn't really address that, and I don't just want to gloss over that because it's a big deal. But I would just say about that, one of the things that I just find the least bit odd, and Drink, feel free to correct me on this. The protests that swept nationwide were already underway, well underway, I would say at least 2 weeks into play before this agreement between the NBA and the NBA Players Association came out to where, okay, we're ready to go, let's play. I would just ask you, what was the reason NBA players weren't bringing these issues to the attention of the league, saying, hey, wait, social injustice, we not sure. We got a serious number of players who are saying we're not sure about playing right now given the climate. That's just one of the things I'm looking at. Say that seems a wee bit weird, because when you look at it, you had an agreement. The NBA Players Association and the league said, we're ready to do this. My issue has been, since that agreement, why is all this stuff, the reasons not to play, coming to light?
I feel like this. I think the players that had the grievance, they felt like their voices wasn't big enough. So they probably had to come down, they brainstormed, they got together, and they found the right person once, Kyrie got in the mix to say, all right, this guy can be our representation of the players that got a problem with what's going on in the country right now. Because let's be real here. If this was Spencer Dinwiddie, like, what are we talking about here? Like, I'm sorry to say, I'm not saying Spencer Dinwiddie words don't matter. I'm not saying his opinion don't matter, but let's be real here. We're like, wait, what? So, I think they wanted to make sure they was coming to Adam Silver with the right thing. That's why at first we didn't hear no names. If you remember correctly, we just heard there was a phone call with like 65 players on it. Yep. We didn't hear no names. Then as the story got bigger and bigger, Kyrie came out, Avery Bradley came out, Dwight Howard came out, and these names. And then that's when it really took off, when we started putting names to who felt that way. So I think they just had to sit down and try to organize it a little bit so they could get taken a little more seriously than just coming out with, some random nonsense or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, and real quick, I'll add in too, the NBA has always been the forefront of progressive thinking and change and whatnot. So I would also give them a little bit of time, maybe work on this. Maybe they can Adam Silver, he can sit down with some of these players and come up with some more programs and initiatives and things like that. NBA's got a lot of money. And again, you talk about Kyrie's basketball league experiment he was talking about. You don't have the resources the NBA has. You're not even a fifth or a sixth or a seventh. I mean, you can leverage the NBA in the situation and say, hey, we don't want to not play at all, but we need to make sure that our message isn't being lost in the sauce here when we go to Orlando. I think the NBA would be much more receptive to that than, say, the NFL would be. I don't know how they're starting to kind of turn heel a little bit, but so I think that the players, might want to use this constructively versus destructively, if that makes sense.